Puffy on the cover, and Vibe put East versus West on that cover. And that was the first time it was framed that way. Now, I remember when I interviewed Tretch, who was very close to Tupac, he blamed Vibe for the official East versus West beef because it was never that. It was just a couple people were beefing from each other that just happened to be on the opposite coast. But it now ballooned into a whole thing of artists from both sides are now beefing with each other because it's framed.
You know what killed Pac and Big? Let's get some real shit right here. I might not have too much longer because I don't give a fuck. After they died, I died with them. I'm here haunting niggas with the truth. You got that motherfucking Vibe magazine, right? You see Big and Puff on the cover, East versus West. When I saw that fucking cover, I said, man, what the fuck is going on? Gangsters don't read articles. Niggas on the East Coast like, yo, it's on. Wait till them West Coast niggas come out here. West Coast like, oh, it's on. Wait till them East Coast niggas come out here. So it baited up a whole shit
Stay ready in
that
case you need
fucking went
backup.
down.
Oh, really?
That had just so many cycles of all Biggie followers
No.
and riders, all Pac
Figured two
riders,
Spider-Men are better than
motherfuckers
one,
that didn't
right?
even know neither one of them. Gangsta ass motherfuckers. They could really
Sounds like he
turn
doesn't
into
need
a
me.
motherfucking East Coast,
Maybe
West
I'll go
Coast
see Haley in the
war.
meantime.
Well, I mean, that's what, at the time, like I said, it's just too many, coincidences. It's coincidence that, Divide did Tupac's interview from prison. It's a coincidence that they painted the first East Coast, West Coast. It's a coincidence that he died at a Vibe party. So coincidences on Bull Street, you'll see all of these things being put together. It makes sense.
Well, Biggie is working on his second album, Life After Death. And while he's doing that, Tupac is killing himself. And I'm going to do Keefe D, who's in the car, essentially shot at Tupac's car. So that story is out there. Biggie was actually in the studio recording the song Nasty when he got the call that Tupac got killed. You were in the studio, I know. But Faith Evans actually talked about that night. She said that Biggie called her first. And she said, I think it's fair to say he was probably afraid, given anything that was going on at the time and all the hype that was from the so-called beef. He didn't really have his heart against anyone. She said he was really shook up over that whole situation. And you guys actually had a conversation afterwards.
Yeah, it was, I was sleeping. I guess the team was and I heard some lyrics in that tune. And I told Big what those lyrics were. And I said, I was thinking about Tupac, and I said, nobody to somebody who chose you. And he was like, I'm used to that. And that was his thing. Like, he always challenged me. That's why, that's hard. But if he gave them, and he was like that, was cool, everybody. Like, I'm using that. Like, that's. But so one day I came in the studio, as the song, and he played that song for me. It sent chills down my body, like, cause it was so perfect, at the time. But it was like him, poetic justice, in a sense, where it's like art imitating life. When it came to him, it's like, okay, where do we go from here? And he was distraught, and he was distraught because they never mended.
Let's hope Connor's is
Pac said
and
things
still in control of his green alter ego.
We could do it for charity, right? That
Dr.
was
Connors?
his last posture statements when he felt like, okay, I'm back at number one, right? Right before that, when it was East West Coast, when he was riding on Nas, Jay, everybody, he wrote on everybody, right? So
Mobb Deep.
Mobb Deep, he wrote on everybody, right? So it was, once he felt
Where's his
that,
family?
he started
His wife
saying
left with
what
their
his
son after the
future
first Nazi
plans
fiasco.
were. Like I said, Suge was in the way of what this kid's real heart was. It was, he used it as a tool because he was an artist. He was from a kid, he was raised by revolutionaries in the 70s, 60s, and 70s. So he had that in him, but he was an artist, so he was digital underground, and he was the best at being digital underground, even if it was just him wearing a dashiki in the video.
He's a great actor.
He was a great actor.
He used to be a backup dancer.
He was everything artistic, right? So now all of a sudden, nobody is taking you serious because you go from Versace, I done stole my style, pocket from Baltimore by way of California. You don't have a Versace Gator style. You emulating the 90s drug dealers because that's what we were. Big didn't even have it. We had it as the drug dealers, right? So, no, you didn't even wear Rolexes, Pop. You started it because you became an actor and you were full role, right? You became, right? The same way it was easy for you to go to prison, come home and wear khakis.
Hasn't been back in years.
And now you became a representative of those guys, right? The West Coast. So,
okay, so Tupac passes away, and a couple months later, Lil Kim's debut album, Hardcore, comes out under Adidas Entertainment. No Time and Crush on You and Not Tonight were the singles. All big hits. The album did well. It went platinum.
These blood samples are for a
so now you got a hit. We got another hit, 100 hits. After Junior Mafia, now Lil Kim, 2 home runs under Adidas Entertainment, which you are the partners with on Biggie.
Yes.
Okay, so we fast forward to 1997.
Through here.
Biggie is getting ready to release his second album. They do the Hypnotize
Still
Me.
standing.
I guess right around that time, Big was dating Charlie Baltimore. And we interviewed Lil C's about this. I guess Big had taken some pictures with him with some girls in the hotel room. He had asked C's to get rid of the photos. C's forgot to get rid of the photos. Charlie Baltimore finds the photos, loses their shit. A big, huge domestic disturbance. I guess Big stopped talking to C's for a while over that whole situation.
He kept telling me to take this bag out. Like 2-3 days. Yo, Charlie about to come. Take that bag out. Stolen. All right, I'm not going downstairs, take it. We go out, do shit, bag still up there. Next day, same old shit. One day I was downstairs, and she must have got there. And I just remember D-Rock banging on my door, like, yo, come on, I need you to come upstairs, help me pack his shit. I'm like, pack his shit for what? He's like, we gotta get out of here, dog. Shit went down upstairs. I'm like, what? He's like, yo, Charlie went that bad. Her and Big got into it. She threw the nigga ring over the window. She was throwing juices at him. I come in the room, it's wild fucking cranberry juice, all type of shit on the wall. Damn. He's like, yo, your man had some shots. Get him up out of here, yo. He out here, no shoes on. Yo, we got up there shirtless. What the fuck did I do?
But ultimately, things are still moving ahead in a very positive direction. I mean, everyone's waiting for the second Biggie album. And Biggie was putting together the commission at the time.
Kept him.
You were actually supposed to be part of the commission. Right.
Reptile
and Jay was the key member.
Initial limb regeneration tests.
I mean, there's other key members, but I'm saying Big and Jay was sort of the...
No? Puffy, P. Diddy was huge, man. Where you put Jay Oh, he
Motion
came for
sensors
Jay.
triggered
At
the
that
security
moment,
cameras
it
about
was
30 minutes
Biggie.
ago. What did he?
Right? Remember there was levels to
He's trying
Pac
to test
being
his
here.
blood.
Yeah.
Right? And then he did going to jail. Then Biggie come
Come on,
home.
Dr.
Big is
Connors,
here.
fight it.
Right? And then it was Nas.
Yeah.
Right? There was no Jay.
The reasonable doubt was out.
It was $2 million Biggie. Number one
Reasonable
records.
Doubt became a classic kind of later on. But you're right.
1,000 albums versus 2 million
I got you.
versus what 2 million Pac was doing versus million Nas was doing.
Right. Okay. Well, but the commission was supposed to come together with Biggie and Jay in it. And I guess there was a bit of a discussion about what label it's going to come out on. Whether
Well,
it's going to come out on Rockefeller or
me and
Adidas.
they used to argue over who was going to get the commission, right? So now Biggie's plan was Biggie had this thing about breaking artists through music and dropping names and what his creative vision was moving forward.
Couldn't hold
Right? So now he had a plan of breaking Charlie Baltimore, Jay-Z, whatever Un was going to do. He was going to commission really started
Connors'
from
blood.
More Money, More Problems was a record that Puff played for me at the 112 Unix radio show with Mace. And he was helping me break Mace at the time. Right?
I have no idea. Let me tell you how this is all gonna go down. Leave Connors alone. He doesn't deserve this.
Biggest rapper in the
Keep going at
right? So he was introduced around the same way he tried to introduce Jay with Brooklyn's Finest. And Irv tells a story of how he told people about how he represented huge, right? Everybody argues with me. I'm not taking, we're going to get to Jay and his mom.
Well, on the song Blood Speed, later on, he said the commission, Paulie, P. Diddy, Cesar Leo, De Janeiro, Charlie Baltimore, Ice he's basically laying out the roster
what the roster of the group is, right? So he started dropping records in the commission. You asked the commission to hit him. He started name dropping what his vision was. It was so at that moment, like I said, it was.
I remember that time.
This whole lizard hunt ends now.
Big.
Does Craven even know what he did to Connors? All so he can prove something? Is all this just a game to him?
You might be that money ticket. Yeah. Charlie Baltimore, Cameron, Blue Seas, Lil Kim, Junior Mafia, Tracy, I know Tracy Murray, Tracy Lee, and the commission. And they, I think the contract was for so many years for like 62 million, for like $62 million.
Yeah, that's actually true. He had a wish deal.
I wish he never came to New York.
I would not give him a big bad or not. He sucked like
He had the opportunity to do really. We were having a discussion about what his future plan, what our business plan was moving forward based on the success that we were having. So yeah,
Lizards across the river.
we,
I'm not gonna make it in time.
we were battling the charts. Biggie was battling
1800s?
himself on the
I
charts.
love the Braves.
Mafia versus Biggie. But it was for the benefits of what we were doing. You know, I tell people all the time, Big was a great A&R.
Yeah.
Well, then March 9th came around. Biggie and his crew were in LA. They decided to go to the Vibe party.
Lee is still out there.
The party got too crowded.
City needs
We've done
me.
interviews with Gene Deal,
Spider-Man.
Steve, and everyone
Right
else
now.
around this. Everyone decides to leave. A car pulls up and opens fire. Biggie ends up getting shot. They take him to the hospital. He's pronounced dead at the hospital. When did you get the phone call?
1 second.
I had a conversation with Biggie
What's going on? The market.
3 hours before he died.
Yeah.
The conversation was, don't leave the room. Don't go. Puff's trying to get me to go to this party. Don't leave the
It's
room.
beautiful.
Get on a plane
The mural.
and go to
I mean,
London. He promised me that he wouldn't leave the room. I said, well, what are you going to do? He said, I'm waiting for Heather Hunter.
It's about time he called me back.
Hey, how's it going with Haley?
Had to bail. Lizard's loose. Could've used your eyes in the sky.
Lizard?
Also, Haley thinks I'm crazy for trying to find Lee. Seems like everyone does.
We're protecting you. Revenge
Not
today.
after revenge. That always leaves a second chances. But that's not what this is. It's my job to protect y'all, not the other way around.
I get it. Okay, let me boot up my gear.
He wasn't supposed to be in the room, bro. You know, and if I had to do it all over and relive it all over, I would probably say the only thing that I would change is I would have got on that plane March 7th and been out there because he would have died.
looks empty.
Because you see
I better check it
that I stood in front of him every time.
Guess I'll have company
I fought.
after all.
Everybody tells the story about me.
Everyone out. Moving.
How, you know, I heard you were in a kind of pressure.
Taser 2. Keep it tight.
You know, it's cool. I heard all these statements. But at
Use the
that
drums to track the lizard. Maybe I can use them too.
me and him every single
That a
day,
passive
it
defense
was
system?
be safe. Don't go out.
Good to know. Gonna keep my
Because
distance.
they talked me out of it. Because I wanted to go and I couldn't figure out why.
Can't
Why?
gotta find the lizard first.
We know
Gotta clear
we
him out.
it's so much that happened during that time. You know, it's the world knew Big shouldn't be.
Hey man,
right?
got your feet up on the battle station. Lot of hunters.
Somebody
Using
dropped
those
the
bird
ball.
drones to track the lizard?
Yeah, I mean, Gene Deal didn't want him to go out.
Got
He actually said in our
I'll work on it
interview
while I'm through the
that
warehouse.
he got a call from Mecca Audio telling him not to go. And we interviewed Mecca, who confirmed this phone call.
These people told me it was a hit on Biggie, so whatever it was. So now, I was cool with this over there, so I get the phone and I made a 3-way call, which I wasn't allowed to because I could have lost my phone and got started over in a whole program behind that. But I get on the phone and I call this girl and I tell her to call Gene because I know she was in touch with Gene and I know Gene is reputable, you know, Big Gene, and he gonna get the word out there. So I told, I just called and said, yo, tell him to vest up. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So that he know what time it is. You know what I mean? No whole bunch to say, tell him to vest up. You know, don't go to Cali, nigga. It's on. You know, they done turned it to another level. You know, so it was only right when I heard something like that for me to let him know as a man, and I jeopardized everything. You know what I mean? By making that phone call. You know what I mean? But I had to make that phone call. That was my duty. You know what I mean? As a man, when I hated the comrades, you know what I mean? Life could be in danger.
I remember in the interview with Seeds, we were talking about how when they finally heard the news that Biggie had passed away, it was like, who's going to tell Big's mom? And D-Rock was the one that volunteered to make that phone call. So the same way he called you, he called Biggie's mom, which I'm sure was a much more difficult phone call.
Listen, I had to drive her to the airport that morning and put her on the plane to go to LA to get her son.
What state was she in?
It was how
She only had one child.
that was one child. And it's unfair that she becomes more close.
Your prey just ate 3 tons of dead fish.
It's unfair about all of the conspiracies about how
Anyone to change the menu.
because there's nobody to give her comfort in what happened to her son, and she needs clarity. She needs to find out what really transpired, and she did a lot. She's still on their head, and it's weird because what people don't realize is that they did a thorough investigation thus far, and they say, but no one's ever asked me anything about this.
You never got questioned. Jacob York was here right now in the room. He never got questioned.
Ken's never got questioned. And but they claim to have done the investigation. And I was the exclusive part. Everybody knows what I was doing. Right? No one asked, was anybody threatening y'all? Did y'all owe anybody?
Don't stress.
And I'm sitting here saying, but they said that they were concerned about who killed Big. And at some point, I'm like, well, all of these stories about $60 million, you let the world tell the story. I got $64 million after they died, right? So when somebody, the FBI, so they say, was investigating, when somebody say, hey, was anything going on? And I'm saying, nobody cared to ask me anything, no magazine at that time. Source, Vibe. The only thing people were concerned about is me and Jay.
Yeah. Okay, and I mean, ultimately, Miss Wallace sued the LAPD. It ended up getting dismissed. I've talked to a lot of people. Like when it comes to
but it only got dismissed based on the LAPD doing their own internal investigation. And that investigation came back and said wasn't no cops involved. So now, no civil suit, we don't have to pay. It's like, fuck you, prove some shit. You know what I'm saying? But y'all claim, y'all done did movies with Forrest Whitaker and Johnny Depp about the thorough investigation. And at some point, I'm saying, when was we not the people who you should have started with?
Well, when it comes to the Tupac murder, I can confidently say who did it, or who was in the vicinity of where it happened. The KPD story, the first KPD interview, essentially, they got the story. KPD story, Idi Amin, who was in the car behind them, Chris Carroll, the first responder, everything fits together. We know why Tupac died. It was over the MGM incident. Retaliation for that. When it comes to Biggie's murder, I am not confident in terms of who did it. I interviewed Mob James, who was, the head of Death Row's street security. He was the one that brought all the Bloods into Death Row. He thinks there was a guy named Poochie, who was a Blood, who was associated with Suge, who was known as a shooter and a killer, who's now dead. When you hear the theory that Poochie was the shooter, what did you think about that?
Right on.
Was Poochie known as